Welcome back, dear students. In our last lesson, we discussed on a fascinating journey with Lord Krishna and the villagers, learning about the properties of materials like luster, hardness, and texture. Today, we will continue our adventure and discover even more amazing characteristics of the world around us. In the enchanting tale of Krishna and the villager's butter, we saw how the villagers tried to outsmart the mischievous young lord by hiding their pots, hiding their precious butter from Krishna. Each attempt taught us something new about the unique properties of these materials. One clever villager decided to store the butter in a glass jar. He is thinking that the transparent container would allow him to keep a watchful eye on his prized possession. He believed that if he could see the butter, he could protect it from Krishna's playful antics. To his surprise, Krishna easily spotted the butter through the clear glass and happily helped himself to the creamy treat. The villager learned a valuable lesson about the property of a transparency that day. Here, what is transparency? Transparency is nothing but the ability of a material to allow light to pass through it easily. That is called the transparency of such material. Some materials which allow light rays to pass them through it easily, they are known as transparent materials. Okay, for example, glass, water, air, these are the excellent examples of transparent substances, transparent materials. They allow us to see through them easily and making them ideal for windows, eyeglasses, and even the lenses of our eyes. So, these are the best examples of transparent materials. Transparent, in the name itself it is there. They allow light rays to pass through them easily. So, imagine a world without transparency. We would not be able to admire the colorful fish swimming in an aquarium, right? We cannot see it. Or enjoy the breathtaking view of a glass window. So, transparency plays a crucial role in our daily lives. But all the materials are not transparent. Some materials, they does not allow the light rays to pass through them easily. They are known as opaque objects. Okay, here in the story, another villager, he learnt from his neighbor's mistake, decided to hide his butter in an opaque or ceramic pot. What is opaque object? Opaque object or opaque material means the material which does not allow the light rays to pass through them easily. They are the opaque materials. Okay. What is the example of opaque material? Wood, metal, stone. These are the best examples of opaque materials. They do not allow the light to pass through them easily and making it impossible to see what is inside it. So, the villager thought he had outsmarted Krishna this time, but the young lord's keen sense of smell lead him straight to the hidden butter. Okay. He is unable to see the butter, but he relied on his other senses to find the tasty treat. Now, opaque materials have their own unique advantages. They provide privacy, protection, and insulation. Imagine if the walls of our house, they were transparent. So we wouldn't have any privacy for us, and the heat or cold from outside, easily they can enter inside our house. So opaque materials, they help us create separate spaces and maintain comfortable environments. Okay, some villagers in the story tried to find the middle ground between the transparency and opaque. They created translucent containers made with thin cloth or paper, hoping to conceal their butter while still allowing some light pass through it. So translucent materials like frosted glass or wax paper or thin fabrics allow some light rays, very few light rays, to pass through them easily, but these light rays will diffuse it. So these light rays making the objects on other side appear blurry ground or hazy. So these materials provide a balance between the transparency and opacity. In the story of Krishna's sharp eyes, it could still detect the presence of butter behind the translucent barriers, but it took him a little longer to locate it. The villagers learned that translucency could be a useful property for creating a sense of mystery or for softening harsh light. As the villagers continue their quest to protect their butter, they stumbled upon another interesting property of the materials, that is called solubility. So they discovered that some materials or some substances completely dissolve in water, like sugar, salt, and some of the other substances completely they dissolve in water, and while others like sand, pebbles, stones, they do not dissolve in the water. Solubility is the ability of a substance to dissolve in a liquid, creating a homogeneous mixture. When a material dissolves, it seems to disappear and blend seamlessly with the liquid. Okay, imagine that stirring a spoonful of sugar into a glass of warm milk. The sugar crystals quickly dissolve it, right? Then it's sweetening the milk and creating the delicious taste. Now imagine trying to dissolve a handful of sand in the same glass of milk. The sand would sink in the bottom of the milk glass and it refuses to mix with the liquid. The villagers in the story realized that solubility could be a useful property for hiding their butter. They began experimenting with different liquids, trying to find one that it would dissolve the butter and make it invisible to Krishna's prying eyes. However, they soon discovered that butter, being an oil-based substance, did not dissolve in water or most of the other liquids. So the villagers turned their attention to another property of materials, that is called buoyancy. They noticed that some objects float on the water and some objects sink in the water. So the floating and sinking is based on the density of the property of that material. Buoyancy is the ability of an object to float on a liquid. It depends on the density of the object compared to the density of the liquid. If an object is less dense than the liquid, it floats. If an object is denser than the liquid, it will sink. So the villagers experimented with different materials, trying to find the perfect container. that would make their butter float and hide it from Krishna's view. They carved boats out of wood, molded bowls from clay, and even tried using hollow gods as floating butter containers. Then Krishna, being the clever and observant young lord, he noticed the villagers' efforts and appreciated their creativity. He understood that by using their knowledge of buoyancy, the villagers were trying to protect their precious butter from his playful antics. In our daily lives, we encounter the property of buoyancy in many ways. Ships and boats, they are designed to float on water, it allowing us to travel across the oceans and rivers. Life jackets and buoys are made of materials that are less dense than the water. It helps us to stay afloat in emergency situations. That is the reason we will use life jackets when we go for water rides, when we go into water boats and all. Even the ice cubes in our drinks float because solid water, that is ice, it is less dense than liquid water. As we continued to explore the story of Krishna and the villagers, we uncover more and more fascinating properties of materials. Each attempt to hide the butter teaches us something new about the world around us and how we can use our knowledge of materials to solve our problems and create innovative solutions. So, my dear children, let's take a moment to reflect on what we have learned today. We discovered that materials can be transparent, opaque, or translucent depending on how they interact with light. We explored the concept of solubility and how some substances can dissolve in liquids while others cannot. And we also learned the world of buoyancy, learning how density affects an object's ability to float or sink. Now it's time for an exciting assignment that will challenge your creativity and problem solving skills. Imagine you are a villager in the story, tasked with creating the ultimate butter container that will keep Krishna at bay. Using your knowledge of transparency, solubility and buoyancy, design a container that will hide the butter and protect it from Krishna's mischievous hands. Think about the materials you would use and how their properties would contribute to the success of your container. Would you use a transparent material to keep an eye on the butter, or will you use a opaque material? Then would you try to dissolve the butter in a liquid, or would you focus on making it float? The possibilities are endless. So share your ideas with your classmates and discuss how each design incorporates the different properties of materials we have learned about. Together we can learn from each other and develop a deeper understanding of the fascinating world of materials. So in our next class, we will conclude our journey with Lord Krishna and the villagers trying together all the properties of materials we have discovered and exploring how this knowledge, it can help us solve real world problems. Until then, keep observing the world around you and thinking about how the properties of materials shape our daily lives. From the clothes we wear to the house we live in, the materials play a crucial role in our comfort, safety and well-being. So thank you for your enthusiasm and participation. Thank you so much. We'll continue the next part in the next video. Thank you.